Well, it's a good question. I think there are two sets of reforms that we welcome and support at the OECD. One is reform that signal that a crisis is looming. As economists, we tend to think that economic instruments, pricing, can be a good way to signal that a crisis is looming. And another set of reform are reforms which provide some flexibility, some capacity to adjust to uncertain conditions. And for instance, a number of water allocation regimes are being reformed in that way to provide more flexibility and capacity to adjust to shifting conditions. So in a sense, we think these type of reforms are moving to the right direction. The main challenge here is that water allocation regimes were designed in a time where water was more abundant and there were less tensions on who should get water when it is scarce. So these regimes are not fit for current challenges. And in most countries, developed countries, developing countries, you will see governments trying to reform these allocation regimes to make them fitter to current and emerging challenges. And these reforms are very tricky, very difficult, because in essence, you'll have to tell farmers that in the coming years, they may have less water to grow their crop. So you can see that politically, this is a very complicated message. And also socially, these are reforms that can have severe consequences for different communities. So they need to be well thought, well prepared, and well supported by appropriate accompanying measures. Water allocation regimes are tools that are designed to allocate water when it is scarce. So the new challenges are driven by urbanization, because cities will need more water, but also the development of irrigated agriculture, which contributes to food security. So that's a major development. And these new challenges are also driven by climate change, because as the climate changes, we have less certainty on how much water will be available for agriculture, industry, economic development, or cities. So the main challenge that that allocation regimes now need to face and address is uncertainty about who needs water and when. That's why you need flexibility. Well, financing is a critical issue. We know that water can drive growth, but that requires investment. And so far, investment in the water-related infrastructure, water-related management, water-related services haven't been at scale. So at the OECD, we set up a roundtable on financing water. The idea was to bring together water and finance people so that they can have a structured conversation and understand what is required to accelerate and upscale investment that will contribute to water security. And I think there are already a number of interesting developments. First, we better know what kind of investment is required, the level of effort and the type of investment that needs to be financed. We're doing regional work, for instance, with the European Commission, covering 28 EU member states, to better understand where the challenges are, the financing challenges. And that new knowledge, I think, is very useful to support new policies and to direct investment flows. Another interesting development is that we better understand how to crowd in other sources of finance, typically private finance. And by private finance, I mean usual commercial banks or longer-term investors. These are people who may not, for the moment, understand that water is an opportunity. They can do their jobs, financing investment, when putting some of their money into water-related investment. For the moment, water tends not to be on their radar. They understand opportunities related to renewable energy or that kind of area, and our role is to let them understand that water can generate business opportunities for them as well. Well, I think there is a better understanding that these crises are here and now. It's not something that is coming in the future. A number of countries around the world already face water-related crises. You can think about forest fires in California. You can think about drought in parts of Africa or even in parts of Europe. So a growing number of countries realize that these crises are here and now. So there is, I think, some sort of an awareness. There are also a number of solutions which are now better established or better acknowledged. Think, for instance, about nature-based solutions. Last year, the UN put a very important report on how nature-based solutions can contribute to water management. So I think it was a very important recognition that working with ecosystems, working with nature, can contribute to address our water crisis.